Manchester United drawing a game in the Premier League. Who would have guessed that? Well, me actually. It was the only game this season I've accurately predicted. 0-0 was my prediction going into the game. Unfortunately, I was proven correct with what was an extremely, extremely dull game of football. Southampton got a penalty early on for an Eric Bailly handball that was 2 yards outside the box. Sergio Romero came up with a save. And tonight was more about Sergio Romero than anybody else on that pitch in a Manchester United shirt. It's not the first game we've seen this. It's the fourth game in a row. We've seen Swansea at home with a 1-1 draw, a 2-0 loss away to Arsenal, a 2-1 loss away to Spurs, and now a 0-0 against the Southampton side who are 20 points below us in the Premier League. United really aren't going into this Europa League final in any sort of inspirational form, are we? As I said, tonight's hero, if there was any, Sergio Romero. So much has been said about Romero and whether or not he should play in the Europa League final. Jose Mourinho has said, barring any injuries, it will be Romero. He's played the majority of our Europa League games, and tonight, arguably his best performance of the season. A wonderful save to stop Gabbiadini's penalty after 5 minutes. But he made a number of confident saves, one particularly good one from a curling shot, not sure who it was from. Parries were very, very good, punches were good, and his distribution was excellent as well. But I think the performance has to be talked about, and I think concerns have to be raised. But maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know your comments below on your thoughts on the game. But Manchester United now in the last month, 6 weeks, we've been playing some poor football, some really poor football. And are we just expecting Man United to just turn the screw and go back to that sort of 2-0 Chelsea performance at home against Ajax in the Europa League final? I'm a bit worried that this slump now is going to continue into the Europa League final because it's getting quite demoralising. Really, really is. Yes, tonight we didn't have Rashford starting, we didn't have Pogba starting, we didn't have Herrera starting, but we had a lot of first team players there. Anthony Martial looked really, really poor until the 70th minute when his shot came off the post. But other than that, his touch was awful. Rooney started off quite brightly actually, his best 35 minutes he's had in 4 games. Then he went off the boil. Fellaini and Tuanzebe, we had no midfield. Tuanzebe was actually quite good getting the ball, but it's not his job to create in midfield. He was just passing on to somebody else. And then he had Bailly playing an auxiliary right back when he's not a right back. He was having a great time. Probably one of our better players on the day, but it's hard to get inspired watching United at the moment. So what must the players be thinking? That's kind of my thinking going into it. We've now got Crystal Palace last day of the season. Tonight was a dead rubber game. Southampton couldn't go any higher in the Premier League. Man United's 6th position is already cemented. So all Mourinho wanted was no injuries. We got no injuries. We certainly got no goals either. And no real chances on target. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too pessimistic here, but I'm just a bit worried now that, as I said, that this slump is going to continue. And we're going to go into the Stockholm game slightly hungover in terms of our football. Let's have a read a few of your comments here. Ellis saying Martial puts in no effort. Martial and Rooney couldn't even run, let alone pass. Martial, as I said, was quite poor tonight. I think you can't really ignore that. I think he deserves the criticism every time. But it wasn't just him. Every time we got into the final third and we strung a couple of passes together, the attack stopped right there. We couldn't go anything further past that. Gary Paul saying, Sam, enough is enough, get rid of Jose Mourinho. A little bit extreme there, Gary. But Jose is really cranking up the pressure on himself because, as I said, he put all these eggs in one basket. Europa League final. We sacked off the top 4, hence why we finished in 6th this year. And now United are playing like this going into the final. There was always going to be pressure on Jose Mourinho and his Manchester United team to deliver in this Europa League final. But the build-up to it is making it even more of a pressure situation. Because if we win the Europa League final, all of these performances are justified. If we don't win the Europa League final, every single one can be scrutinised and used as evidence against Jose Mourinho playing poorly and making the wrong decisions at crucial times this season. So it really is the biggest game in United's recent, since Fergie left, it's the biggest game that Man United have played. Comment there from Annie Ruth saying Jones played well. He did play well. I think for me tonight, Smalling played himself out of playing the Europa League final. That's what I feel. I feel that Jones alongside him played much, much better. You got a yellow card when Martial put him into trouble with a poor back pass, but Blinder's going to play the Europa League final. Bayer's obviously suspended, so he can't play. But it's definitely, for me, it's got to be Jones alongside him. But let's see what happens there. That is it for the match review. It's a short one because, let's be honest, there's not that much to talk about. A really poor performance. We've now got Crystal Palace on the last day of the season on Sunday. Probably going to see quite a few youth players there. That'll make it interesting to watch if we can get quite a few youth players in there. Maybe a full debut for Scott McTominay. Maybe Josh Harrop can come in after scoring a hat-trick against the Spurs under-23s this week. Maybe Dimitri Mitchell as well. But overall, United really are sucking the enjoyment out of watching football at the moment with their recent performances, and it's all seemingly on purpose just to keep the gas in the tank and wait for the Europa League final. But with each passing minute of this football, the pressure gets more intense on United to deliver against a very exciting and youthful Ajax team. It won't be an easy Europa League final, and United certainly aren't making it easy on themselves going into it. That's it for the match review. Make sure you drop a like, and if you're new and watching this and you haven't subscribed to United People's TV, what are you waiting for? Go down there and click subscribe. We'll have a video out at 6 a.m. in the morning on Michael Keane and the Michael Keane Rumours. Make sure you check that out, and make sure you check out the player ratings, which is coming out at 10 p.m. Take it easy, everybody.